Hi there. Did you know that when babies are born, they come with zero beliefs and they have to learn to formulate their own beliefs from their parents, the caregivers, their teachers, their sisters, their brothers, their family members, and also those who are going to be around them or even the television. So, if this is your cup of tea, please do stick around as we are going to be discussing the topic neurogenesis, which is also just a part two. Is a continuation of the part one that we started last week. So, without wasting much time, we're going to break down the word neurogenesis. So, if we start with neuron, so neurons are cells that send messages all over our bodies, and also these messages, they allow us to do everything that we do, performing the tasks that we do, like breathing, talking, sitting, walking, and also thinking. And then genesis, it basically means the formation. So what exactly do we mean by neurogenesis? So neurogenesis then becomes a term that means the process by which new neurons are formed in the brain, and it starts when the baby is still an embryo, and it starts when the baby is still developing in the embryo, but it also continues in certain brain regions after birth and also throughout our lifespan. As a caregiver, you are supposed to have basic knowledge of neurogenesis so that you know how to position yourself in the life of a baby. When you know how to build their building blocks, when you know how their baby's brain is going to be function, and how exactly are you going to play your role in terms of helping them or cultivating their brains so that they can grow mentally. It is not just our job to perform duties that are going to aid the baby to grow physically. I know most of the times we are so excited about feeding the baby and watching the baby as they are going to be developing in terms of their physical body, but we tend to ignore some of the most important issues that we must also address, which is the baby's brains. And this is one of the overlooked topics that we should also discuss, and that is the main reason why I'll always emphasize on learning the developmental stages of the baby's brain, especially the brains. So, because they are the ones that are going to aid all the development within the body. They are the ones, I mean, neurogenesis is going to be that one process that is going to help the baby to be able to walk, to talk, and also to perform all sorts of duties as a normal human being. And we as caregivers, we need to understand what our role, the role that we play in making it possible, in terms of feeding them a healthy diet and stimulating their brains so that their brains are cultivated, and they also grow in all four areas of their lives, which is the physical side, the mental side, the social side of their life, and also the emotional side area of their life. So if I have to break down neurogenesis, I would say neurons are basically nerve cells. They are nerve cells. You're going to look at your diagrams there. You're going to see that a neuron is it's structured like a tiny seedling, like a tiny tree. I always look at it and marvel. It looks almost like a tiny tree with the roots, tiny roots spreading out, and also it has like a trunk, like a tree trunk, but it's very thin. And also you will see that it has like something that looks like a fruit in the center of its top part there, where it looks like it has branches. So basically that part there, that center that looks like it's like a small tree with a fruit, that is the nucleus, and that top part there is the cell body. So that is also where you're going to see some dendrites there. They look like minions of branches, tiny little branches there, and they also somehow look like roots, but to me, I always view them as like a lot of mini branches to make it so easier for you to understand. So you will also see that on that diagram that you have, those roots there at the bottom, that is where the messages are also going to be transported. They are going to be sent into the other neighboring neuron as well, through those parts there at the bottom that look like roots. And then at the top there, where you also see that part where it looks like it has branches, messages are also going to come through that part as well. So basically, a neuron is not going to be working alone. Like a single neuron is not going to be able to perform duties on its own. So it needs to be connected, super connected. There's a lot of connections within itself to make it easier for it to take messages from one area, from moving messages from point A to point B. For you to understand this better, I would say that these messages are like electrical. They move faster, like electricity. They are like electricity flowing through an electrical cable, and those messages, them being moving like electricity, you're also going to understand that they are moving within an insulated cable as well. And that insulated cable is also insulated for some reasons. But we also have to understand that there are some neurons that are not going to be insulated, and there are neurons that are going to be insulated. And this has been created just like that for certain reasons that you also understand. And one of the reasons why a neuron should be insulated, the ones that are insulated, they are insulated so that the messages can be transported or transmuted faster, so that the movement of messages can be faster whilst they are insulated. Nothing is going to be lost along the way, and we really need it to be like that in certain areas of our body. In terms of, like, if you want to sit down, you don't have to really scratch your head and think about it. It happens like it somehow happens automatically, and because the message just travels faster. And if you are to put your hand in a fire or in a flame, what happens is you are going to feel the pain later, but you're going to move your hand faster, meaning that you are going to react faster before you even feel the pain. And that is the reason why these messages must travel faster to the brain, so that you can react, so that you can be in a position to be able to react rather than reacting when you're already hurt. So you have to react, and then you will feel the pain. And that is the main reason why these insulated cables, which are the neurons that we call, they are myelinated. You are going to notice that on your notes there is a process that is called myelination. And I've had some people asking questions, what is myelination? So myelination is just basically the insulation of the neurons. So you will see that when you look at your diagram there is a part where it says myelin sheet. It is like a fatty kind of substance there that is covering the axon. So that long cable that you see that aids the movement of messages, that is the axon. So since you have a diagram, you are going to look at it and study it diligently, so that you can understand, and you can understand everything, so that we can all be on the same page. So when messages are passing through the axon, they are going to be passed through to the next cell, the next nerve cell, and they are not connected in a way that is physically like a physical connection. No, but those messages are going to pass through some neurotransmitters. There is a way that is going to take those messages. It is like you sending a message or saying something to your friend or whispering something to your friend in their ear. It's not like you are within, you are inside their ear, but you are like a little bit distant away from them, and you're just simply whispering to them. And that message that you are whispering to them, it is going to, like, there is a way that it is going to be communicated to you, right? And then you are going to react according to that message that you're going to hear. It's either you're going to laugh, or you're going to be surprised, or whatever, whichever reaction you're going to have, but you are going to react to the message that you've just heard. No, you didn't have to be like physically connected to your friend to hear that message. They just had to whisper something to you, and you heard it. It is the same way that these neurons are connected, and that connection that they form at the end of each neuron, that is called a synapses. So when you notice that you're not on your notes there is a process that is called synaptogenesis. Just know that it is nothing complicated, but it is just the formation of those synapses. Since we mentioned that the messages must move from point A to point B, must be able to be moving from point A to point B, and it can't be just one major or very long neuron, but it has to be a lot of tiny neurons connected to one another, so that messages can be moved. In case you're still scratching your head and wondering, what does this biology lesson have anything to do with you as a carer or as a nanny? You need to understand that in order for you to be able to nurture this baby in terms of building their brain, their building blocks, it is going to be so easier for you if you know how this process is being formed within the baby's brain. And as I mentioned, what role are you going to play, and how are you going to be helpful and useful towards the baby reaching their goals, right? So we know that the baby, as a newborn is being born, they are supposed to reach to a stage where they are going to be able to be moving or rolling, and they are supposed to be able to see, or to be able to detect stuff. They are going to get to a point where they need to learn how to talk. They are going to be talking. They are going to be able to feed themselves. They are going to be crawling and walking, and also thinking. And all this is your job, to be able to make sure that this happens. And if a baby is growing, is a normal, healthy baby, then you need to be able to pull it off. You need to be able to make sure that the baby is going to pull it off and grow and develop in all these areas. So diet is one of them. I know by now you know that a healthy diet is going to help the baby's brain develop. And we shouldn't also lack in terms of other vitamins that could be very crucial, like vitamin A, B, and E. That deficiency is going to be it hinders neurogenesis. And also diets that are so high in sugary stuff and oily, like fatty, saturated fat, is also going to be unhelpful, and it's going to hinder neurogenesis in babies. Sleep deprivation. Allow the babies to sleep as much as they want. We just wake them up so that we can for their feeding, and then we send them back to their bed so that they can have that time to develop after they are feeding. Alcohol, as far as I know, when a woman is pregnant, they are not supposed to be indulging in alcohol, for the reason that is going to damage the baby's neurogenesis. That formation, that process of the formation of neurons that are going to help the baby to develop in their ways of thinking, they are being able to do their day-to-day tasks. They are not going to develop properly because of alcohol, right? Stress, we all know that the baby shouldn't by any means be subjected to any stressful conditions whatsoever. All right, so I'm sure you now know much about this topic. Okay, but I need to also speak about the importance of tummy time, because most of the time carers tend to be so, or new mothers tend to be so confused if it is their first time looking after a baby, a newborn baby, and they wonder, so what exactly am I going to be doing? What's my part, the role that I'm going to be playing in terms of aiding this neurogenesis process in a newborn baby? Because clearly this baby cannot talk, can't do anything. So why must I be talking to this baby? Then we should be answering these questions now. Okay, so we need, one of the reasons why we should introduce tummy time. So tummy time, it is going to help, it is crucial for the neck of the baby's neck, their upper body, and their upper body strength, meaning that the babies are going to be able to lift their head. We know that when they are born, their heads are like very wobbly, and they cannot contain, they can't hold their own head steady, and it is the duty of the carer to be able to be very careful with the baby's head, as it is going to be all over the place, and it will only take some time for them to develop that muscle to be able to have strength within their upper body and their head. And you can only help them if you know what you're supposed to be doing. So tummy time is one of them. Babies take note, most babies or some babies, they really don't like tummy time. Like my own children were not so keen about tummy time, but we need to have a moment when we need to introduce it for a short period of time per day, so that they can, it's a form of exercise for these babies, so that they can develop their upper body strength, and also be able to lift their heads, and also be able to eventually support their head. So, and also be able to, when they are able to support their upper body, then it's going to be so easy for them to support their overall motor development, which includes crawling and also rolling. Okay, so we also need to help with the social and emotional growth of the baby. Even if they are still newborn, and you think that, okay, what exactly am I going to be doing with this baby? That's the moment, the correct time for you to, the appropriate time for you to be able to build strong bonds with the baby. You need to sing to them, you need to speak to them, and also help them to understand emotions. You need to look into their eyes as you are talking to them, have eye connection with them as you are speaking to them, and help them. That helps them to, it calms them up, it reassures them, it makes them feel that they are okay and they are safe with you, and they will also develop some communicational skills from the babies cannot just wake up being able to know how to talk, and you cannot definitely skip that stage, and you need, for them to be better communicators, you need to start talking to them even when the baby is still in their mother's womb, and then when they come out, you need to speak to them as if they understand you, and you need to mention the right words, pronounce things exactly as they are supposed to be, and not change into a baby language because you're speaking to a baby. All right, so let's not confuse them. Playtime is also an ideal time to stimulate cognitive strength and growth. As I mentioned, storytelling, singing, simple games, and also they are going to help with the language skills and cognitive abilities, which is why we need to spend time singing some of the baby songs. I remember when I was even younger, I used to think, oh, some songs are like a little bit funny and tacky, but for babies, though, that is exactly what they need, right? You need to introduce interactive play because it encourages them to explore their environment, and that is the reason why we take babies out for walks in the park or within the yard if you have a very beautiful big garden, or even just outside of your apartment. If the apartment is not as big as some other yards, you can still enjoy playtime outside, or just a walk outside, so that the baby can start understanding that there is this environment which is indoors, and then there's an outside environment, and then they can start to discover and learn a few things from there. And when they grow older into being toddlers, they are also going to be a bit inquisitive. You'll notice that they love to be outside more often. They're going to be asking you a lot of questions, and you need to be able to also have some interesting answers for them. And that is the moment when you are going to be introducing to them the law of cause and effect. I know this law, it plays a crucial role in adulthood, and it means a lot when we are adults, but it's the basis of it. It starts when babies, when we are babies and when we turn into toddlers. Because when we are babies, we are probably wondering, why certain things are like this, but we can't just speak it up. We can't voice our concerns. And then when we get to toddlerhood, then we start being able to vocalize our queries, and we start to be able to ask questions. So you also need to be in a position when you are also be able to ask questions like, what will happen if I, or what will happen if you, and what do you think caused that thing to happen? So I believe we've spoken about neurogenesis, synaptogenesis, myelination, and right now we need to speak about discuss synaptic pruning. So synaptic pruning, basically, for you to understand this better, just imagine the baby's brain as a garden that you are going to be planting some seeds. Your job as a carer, you are going to be planting some wonderful seeds within the baby, within that garden, and it is going to be your duty to be nurturing those seeds and watering them and making sure that they are going to germinate and grow. And when they grow, definitely, if you have done a good job, you are going to have a lot of seedlings coming out, and they're going to be growing, and there's going to be a lot of flowers depending with what you have grown. But let's focus on a very nice garden full of flowers. So you're going to have a lot of them, and they're going to be so magnificent. They're going to be looking so good, and there will come a time when you just have a lot of them, and they need to be pruned. That is basically what is going to be happening here. But it's not going to be your job as a caregiver to be pruning, but it is going to happen automatically, because this is how the way we are created. While we are still there on gardening, on nurturing the baby's brain as a gardener, you need to understand that if you play your part well and plant and be able to come up with a garden that is very nice and also going to create some wonderful memories and wonderful experiences, that is exactly what you're going to be helping the baby to thrive with. But if you don't play your part well as a carer, also you reap what you sow. And unfortunately, it is not going to affect you, but it is also going to be affecting the baby in a later stage. So back to synaptic pruning. There will come a time when the child has learned so many things, and some of those things are no longer useful to the baby. I'll give you an example of learning a language. Maybe they've been exposed to a certain language just because someone has been teaching them that language, and then unfortunately that person is no longer a part of their family, or the child has moved to a certain area where they are no longer learning that language, which might have been maybe a third language or a second language, and no one else is going to be teaching that language to the child. The patterns that had been created, the neural patterns that had been created within the child's brain to help that baby to remember how to speak or how to pronounce, how to say those certain words of that language, those parts are going to be erased. So you need to understand that for everything that you're going to be teaching the child, be it speaking, words, activities, you are creating some neural parts. It's like you're drawing some parts within the baby's brain. So some parts like rods, like tiny rods. So that is the reason why when you are teaching a baby something like a new skill, you have to keep on repeating yourself over and over and over again, and you have to be very patient. You have to understand, because when you teach the baby just once, that path is going to be closed along the way. Just one of the days, it's just going to disappear, and they won't remember anything. Remember, they learn, their memory, they take everything that you're going to be teaching them is going to be stored in the short-term memory bank, wherever storage. So you have to keep reminding them so that that information that they keep hearing over and over, that has been sitting in their short-term storage, is going to be shifted into their long-term, so that they can be able to formulate their own beliefs, and then they can also be able to be in a position to remember things, and also to do a lot of activities without being reminded, and also without you being looking after them all the time. They are going to also understand when that pattern has been created within them, like a routine. They are going to understand that at a certain time I'm going to be sleeping, and it is going to happen automatically. But the more you teach the child, you're creating that path over and over, and you're opening that path so that it's going to be remaining within the child's brains. It is going to be so easy for them to adjust when it's time for them. If they were coming from a stimulating environment, they know that, oh, this has been very stimulating, and if they have to be resting, they know that this is time for them to be resting. It is going to be so easy for them to switch from any kind of activities they might be involved in without any problems, because they know the pattern of their day. It's not just happening randomly. They know that if I have to be bathed right now, or if I have to be fed and be bathed, I need to go to bed, I need to sleep. So it is like a pattern that you are creating, that path, that road that you're creating within the baby's mind. So we start by introducing routines, right? It's the routines, the words we say, the play routines, the activities that we introduce to these babies. The more we keep doing it over and over and over again, that is how you are creating memories for them to remember, and it's also helping them with the resilience as well. So there will come a time, when you come back to synaptic pruning, as I was saying, there shall come a time when they have learnt a lot from you, from the environment, from their parents, from their cousins, from the television, or even from the teachers at school. And then there's a time when some of the things that the child is picked up within a course of time and hasn't repeated them, or they haven't been useful in their life, or the brain is detecting that that stuff hasn't been useful to you, the brain is going to erase it. Just like that language they have learned and they are no longer learning how to speak it, or no one is teaching them anymore, that part is going to be erased.